So footwork on relation of the stance is the way we uh, propel ourselves, how we change direction. Is also the way uh, we shorten distance or we retreat for a longer, more ample distance, depending on what we're doing, how we move around a line, or how we move in a line into a curve, for example. How we intercept, how we engage and disengage the clutching of the swords, for example. On the very early sources, we have depictions of how they stand and walk. They're 2D. They can be kind of difficult to interpret. There is not much written about it. Early German tradition just tells you basically step right if you're going right, and that's why our most efficient way of going, we open ourselves on the right side if I'm going right, and then when I cut right to left, I move my right foot. The other thing is we're giving a false lead, and that false lead is a way for us to protect ourselves, propel ourselves, move backwards, protecting the inside of our thighs and our femoral artery. In a real encounter, in the high, mid, or low medieval, could pierce into the skin that nicks the femoral artery, which is just an extension, a bifurcation of your aorta, the largest blood vessel in the body. Is game over. That's a lot of blood out of your body, losing consciousness, oxygen is not getting to your brain. The moment you sit down, you probably won't be able to stand. Pretty brutal stuff. So that's why I love living in the 21st century. Thank you so much. So we teach a basic stance, which is our highest, tallest stand. Our feet are together, and like I mentioned before, we move to our shoulder length, maybe a little longer, and then we're in a little more stable position. Still, we're against our toes, so we're vulnerable like that. If I get pushed on this direction, I will go flat back. So I will have to step back to balance myself, for example. If they push me forward, it's more difficult, but I still have to step forward. The Germans talk about the Das Bagge, the Italians talk about the concept of the elefante or the elephant. At least we teach it like we just do a step, and basically we're describing equal size square with one point on one diagonal on the toes of the front foot, and the other diagonal point diameter on the other side on the heels of the back foot. We don't teach looking forward completely like the feet like a skier. We like to keep our foot a little bit forward, outward, like 25, 30 degrees maybe, not too much, not 90, just a little bit, because we can pivot on whichever foot, and that will be the natural positioning of the foot that is pivoting. So if I give a passing step, pivot a little bit. I keep the extension and that square, balanced square underneath me. My back foot now is looking a little bit outwards. My front foot is looking to my opponent. Yes, I can look both feet directly to the front. It has its advantages and disadvantages, but mostly when you're propelling forward, your brake basically is your back. So in Kendo they teach you something like this. You touch your heels, and that's their version of the square. I'm telling you guys, Kendo is mainly a sport right now. Have lost much of their martial application. So they move from here, keeping their toes close to the floor. Every time you rise your toes, you lose distance, and you can test it at home. Put a mark, step, and step as far as you can, toes up, as far as you can, toes down, closer to the floor, like dashing, and you will notice the difference. It will be like a few inches or fractions of an inch. The stronger you get, the more the difference is. You can use both positionings of the toes and heels to play with the distance and misdirect your opponent. But as an exercise or for training purposes, we teach both ways, but we usually practice going closer to the floor, toes touching the floor, heels just a little bit up. And we can see it here. This is the toes up, and this is the heels up. So it's like a paper thin elevation. That's all you need. It's more stable, less chance that you will be sweep. And if they try to sweep, you it's way easier to recover. Okay? So we got starting, this is our tallest position. This is a balanced or still unstable position. This is a balanced, stable position. It can be with either foot forward. We call it genetically dance bag because that's what the Litauan society call it on their glosses and the settle. How this knowledge is transmitted over like probably 100, 200, 300 years later, all the way to Mare, for example. Another position is you can always open your stance, and you're what is commonly known as a horse stance. And from there, you can go up, move back. Then you can do the same thing. But this is a good exercise to work with those hip flexors. And this is a way to profile your body as opposed to go full frontal like we do on basic. That extension can grow even more. So if you imagine, I don't know, my imaginary square, I can do this from the square, but I can move to the next square in front of me. But this looks more of a horse stance. And you see how the height of my stance changes. I'm more stable because I have the same width with more extension, okay? Also my shoulders move lower, so my the side of my triangle, which is not the hypotenuse, we call it cateto in Spanish, changes height basically, okay? if these are the shoulders of my opponent, and he looks down, there is a gap starting to show. Same thing. If I'm here, shoulders up here, I'm closer to him. Or if I can't reach, I go down about, then I can reach. Okay. And we can open almost a third square. So this is my first square. I move one square, two squares, okay? And this is looking much like a Olympic fencing lunge. So we can really extend myself. It's recommended when you're not used to this type of movement, do not extend your knee farther than your foot. So if you barely see the tip of your feet, the toes of your feet, you're still good. You're making almost a 90-degree angle. Athletes, they extend the knee all the time, but they train for that. Their knees work for that. Their body structure works for that. Their MCL, ACL, their meniscus is used to that, okay? It's not the same as we, like enthusiasts or hobbyists. We have to be a little more careful. We can train. If we have pre-existing conditions, we know we have to be careful. Okay, we have to be responsible of our own injuries, basically. And when you get to that extension, the hip structure changes. So this is something thanks to Scott Wright from the Quincy classical fencers. He taught us that when we're going back to the position, we have to realign that hip, or if not, we're going to be punishing unnecessarily that joint, okay? So it's something we need to train. The more we train, the faster we are, the more we work our hip flexors, hamstring, etc., our core, the stronger we are to move from this position to this position. And from there, realign. We practice that forwards, backwards, sideways, diagonally to the right, diagonally to the left, diagonally to the back right, diagonally to the back. And we combine. This is I almost forgot about talking about the feet. The feet is basically a tripod. I like to think of it as a four-pod, tetrapod, but it's mainly a tripod with 2 points in front and that point behind. So it doesn't look like it, but if I do something like this, I'm super stable in this position. It's awkward, my knees is falling the wrong way, and this will probably be a transition position, but I'm super stable here. I have 2 points there, based on the 3 points of the front foot, and the second point backwards on the back foot, based on the tripod, or the 3 points of the back foot. And then we can hook. And we see this on the sources. And people that doesn't really understand the anatomy of the body, or the kinetics, or have any martial experience, boxing, open hand, Asian martial art, they don't understand, and they ridicule this. This looks stupid because this and that, blah, blah. They put it there for a reason, okay? It's not just illustration mistake, like some pseudo instructors try to present. So that just like ooh. has its uses, okay? But you need to train into it. It's not easy if you are not used to work the functional rotation of the body. That's not my forte. I'm not a physical trainer. I just know some things. I have a background in nursing and some on martial arts, mainly kendo, a little bit of Kali, and historical European martial arts, and open hand, Japanese arts and